Dragon Emperor Sun Chapter 581 to Chapter 590. Seeing this, Yuan Baishong stepped forward and stood in front of Zhou Zhaolong. His whole body exploded with momentum, the clothes on his body were automatic without wind, and the cold air became stronger and stronger, and the temperature in the whole room dropped several degrees in an instant. Yuan Baishong, I respect you as a master of the generation. You don't interfere in this matter, and I don't care about you. Don't forget that this is the capital. Even if you are the first master of magic in Hong Kong, what can you do? Qianlong Press, but the local snake, my people will be here soon. Qin Xiaotian didn't want to fight with Yuan Baishong. After all, the other party was a master of sorcery and had a great reputation. Qin Xiaotian was really afraid that he would not be able to beat him. Stop talking nonsense. If you do something to Boss Zhou, you will do something to me, someone named Yuan. Yuan Baishong is not afraid of Qin Xiaotian at all. Then don't blame me. I saw Qin Xiaotian shaking his soft sword gently, and then dazzling white light flashed in the room. Just looking at this shot, we know that Qin Xiaoshan's strength is not low, and he is already in the realm of a great master. The sword light was extremely sharp and moved towards Yuan Baishong at an extremely fast speed. Others hide to the side one after another. They will not participate in this matter. Whether it is the Qin family or Zhou Zhaolong, none of them will help. After all, the outcome is unknown, and it is not good to offend anyone. Humph, ignorant child! Yuan Baishong snorted coldly, and saw Yuan Baishong's sleeves bulge, like a blower blowing, and he gently waved forward. Ding! With a crisp sound, Qin Xiaoshan's sword was slashed above Yuan Baishong's sleeve, and it made a steel-like collision sound. Such a sharp sword could not even pierce the opponent's sleeve, which made Qin Xiaoshan's face instantly ugly. Boss Qin, we don't want the remaining 5 billion balance. I'll give you this gossip plate to preach feng shui. It's over like this. How about it? Yuan Baishong also didn't want to follow Qin Xiaotian to kill the fish in the net. After all, this is the capital. If he really hurts Qin Xiaotian, the Qin family will definitely move their nests. Whether they can leave the capital at that time is unknown. Impossible. Qin Xiaotian gritted his teeth, his eyes full of anger. Things have come to this point, how could he give in? So many people are watching. If he agrees, what face will he have in Kyoto in the future? Don't force me to kill you. Yuan Baishong frowned slightly. Come on! Qin Xiaotian roared, followed by bursts of violent aura. The long sword in his hand was swung again, this time the sword beam was even stronger, directly covering Yuan Baishong and that Zhou Zhaolong. Zhou Zhaolong saw this, with a bit of horror in his eyes. He is not a martial artist, but a simple businessman. Although he has seen the world, such battles are rare. Especially being enveloped by this sword light, the sense of oppression made him tremble with fear. Although Yuan Baishong was protecting him, Zhou Zhaolong was still a little scared. Knowing that the Qin family is so powerful, he wouldn't cheat so much money, but who would have known that a fake gossip plate was auctioned for 10 billion? Blame that guy. If it wasn't for him, how could Qin Xiaotian find out that the Bagua pan is fake? Zhou Zhaolong glared at David viciously, while David was sitting upright at this time, with a smile on his face, drinking tea lightly, just like watching a play. He was not frightened by the sword glow in the room at all. Yuan Baishong frowned when he saw Qin Xiaotian struggling with each other, and then he clenched his hands to move a magic trick, and soon a halo formed around him and Zhou Zhaolong, like a big protective shield, enclosing the two of them. I saw the surrounding sword beams madly heading towards Yuan Baishong and Zhou Zhaolong, but unfortunately they were all blocked by the protective cover and did not cause any harm to the two of them. Seeing this, Qin Xiaoshan's face turned green. With his strength, he was not the opponent of Yuan Baishong at all. However, Yuan Baishong didn't shoot Qin Xiaotian, otherwise Qin Xiaotian would have been injured long ago. At this moment, there was a chaotic footstep, and then a dozen people poured in, all of them with strong breath, all of whom were called by Qin Xiaotian. After these people came in, they directly surrounded Yuan Baishong and Zhou Zhaolong. When Qin Xiaotian saw that the reinforcements had arrived, he felt a lot more at ease. Even if he used all the strength of the Qin family today, he could not let Zhou Zhaolong go like this, otherwise the Qin family would have no face in the capital in the future. So many people suddenly broke in, and many people outside also followed suit, including Bai Zhantang, Gu Wenchen and Zhao Wuji. Sonia and Gu Linger followed closely. They were afraid that it was David who clashed with the Qin family. When she entered the room and saw that these people were not targeting David, Sonia felt relieved. "What's wrong with David?" Sonia asked curiously. At this moment, Zhao Wuji also looked at Bai Ziashan and said, "Old Bai, what happened? How could Qin Xiaotian do something to Boss Zhou? After all, Zhou Zhaolong is a Hong Kong businessman from China and Hong Kong. He comes to Kyoto to do business almost every year." Bai Ziashan told Zhao Waoqi what happened. When Zhao Waoqi heard that Zhou Zhaolong was cheating, he was furious. Kyoto is his territory, and if he blatantly brought people to his territory to cheat money, wouldn't he not be able to see him clearly? "Zhou Zhaolong, you are so courageous, you dare to deceive in Kyoto, do you not take my Dharma Protector Pavilion in your eyes?" Zhao Wuji roared at Zhou Zhaolong. Although Zhou Zhaolong was in Yuan Baishong's protective cover at this time, Zhao Wuji's angry shout still made him tremble. Yuan Baishong saw that Zhao Waoqi was also involved, and his face became gloomy and uncertain. "Zhao Pavilion Master, a misunderstanding, a complete misunderstanding, I can return the money to Boss Qin." Zhou Zhaolong was frightened. After all, the Protectorate Pavilion was an official organization. If there was a real trouble, even if Yuan Baishong was by his side, it would be difficult for them to return to China and Hong Kong. Zhao Waoqi saw that Zhou Zhaolong wanted to refund the money, but he didn't want to make things bigger, so he looked at Qin Xiaotian and said, "Qin Xiaotian, Boss Zhou has promised to refund the money, what do you think?" Qin Xiaotian also just asked Zhou Zhaolong to refund the money. Since he can get the money back, there is no need to be too rigid. "Okay, as long as you return the money to me, I won't pursue it." Qin Xiaotian nodded and said. Seeing this, Zhou Zhaolong hurriedly took out his mobile phone and transferred all the money to Qin Xiaotian, while Yuan Baishong also put away the protective cover. After transferring the money to Qin Xiaotian, Zhou Zhaolong looked at Zhao Wuji and said, "Pavilion Zhao, can we go?" "Let's go." Zhao Waoqi nodded and walked out of the way. Qin Xiaotian also waved his hand, and the masters from the Qin family also got out of the way. Zhou Zhaolong walked out with Yuan Baishong. When they passed by David, both Zhou Zhaolong and Yuan Baishong gave David a vicious look. "Mr. Chen, be careful, I'm afraid these two guys will be detrimental to you." Seeing the eyes of the two people, Bai Ziashan exhorted David. "It's okay." David smiled faintly. This time, the antique exhibition auction is just a pretense, and there is no magic weapon at all, so David this time is considered a waste. David was about to go back, but was stopped by Qin Xiaotian. "Qin Xiaotian, what are you doing?" Seeing Qin Xiaotian stopping David, Zhao Waoqi hurriedly asked. "Don't worry, Pavilion Master Zhao, I just have a few words with him." Qin Xiaotian smiled slightly. "If you just want to threaten me with a few words, I advise you not to say it, because I don't like listening to nonsense." David glanced at Qin Xiaotian with disdain, and walked out. "You!" Looking at David's back, Qin Xiaotian gritted his teeth and clenched his fists tightly together. If it weren't for Bai Ziashan and Zhao Wuji, Qin Xiaotian couldn't help but do it. Now that there are dozens of people in the Qin family, he doesn't believe that David can't be killed. "Boy, wait for me, Zhao Wuji won't be by your side all the time." Qin Xiaotian threatened David loudly. But David continued to walk out as if he didn't hear it. On the other hand, Bai Ziashan stopped and turned to look at Qin Xiaotian. Qin Xiaotian, with my Bai family here, you can never touch Mr. Chen's hair. Bah, when my eldest brother is out of the customs, your Bai family is a piece of sh. T. Qin Xiaotian pouted fiercely. Bai Ziashan's face suddenly turned cold, but in the end he turned around and walked out. Qin Xiaotian is right, if he waits for big brother Qin Xiaotian to leave the customs, the Bai family may not be the opponent of the Qin family. After all, no one can guess how terrifying the opponent's strength can be. Fortunately, the Bai family now has a cultivator like David behind him, so Bai Ziashan is not particularly worried. The only thing he has to do now is to please David. After everyone walked out of the room and came to the hall, they found that Zhou Zhaolong and Yuan Baishong, who had come out a long time ago, did not leave, but were chatting with a middle-aged man. David was a little puzzled. These two guys were exposed for cheating, and they almost lost their lives. However, after seeing the middle-aged man who was talking with Yuan Baishong, Zhao Waoqi's expression changed slightly, and he walked over quickly. Secretary Kong, why do you have time to come here? Zhao Wuji asked respectfully to the middle-aged man. It was the leader who knew that the first master of magic in China and Hong Kong was here, so let me come over and invite Master Yuan to the mansion to discuss. Secretary Kong said. What do you want them to do? Zhao Wuji glanced at Yuan Baishong and Zhou Zhaolong. Gate Master Zhao, you also know that the leader's son has been lying in bed for more than a year. Since Master Yuan has come to the capital, the leader wants to invite Master Yuan to come and take a look. Secretary Kong explained. Oh. Zhao Waoqi just snorted, but he didn't follow Secretary Kong on the spot to expose the two people who came to cheat. Master Yuan, please, the car is outside. Secretary Kong said respectfully to Yuan Baishong. At this time, Yuan Baishong was arrogant. He knew that the person who invited him definitely had a very high status in Kyoto. After all, a secretary by his side could make Zhao Waoqi, the pavilion master of the Kyoto Dharma Protector Pavilion, respectful. Yuan Baishong walked out with his head held high, Secretary Kong following him, and this scene was also seen by Qin Xiaotian who walked out of the room. When he saw the people around Yuan Baishong, his face changed slightly, and his brows furrowed tightly. Although the money was returned, he was tricked, and the Qin family lost a lot of face. He wanted to find a way to discuss Zhou Zhaolong and Yuan Baishong when they left the capital, so as to get their face back. But now that he saw the person who asked Yuan Baishong to leave, Qin Xiaotian immediately dismissed the idea. Who is this guy? When David saw that Zhao Waoqi was so polite to those who invited Yuan Baishong, he couldn't help but wonder. Mr. Chen, this is the secretary of the great leader of the Six Gates of Kyoto. I just don't know what such a great leader is, sending the secretary to invite this big liar to do. Bai Ziashan said. Because Yuan Baishong and Zhou Zhaolong cheated together, so Bai Ziashan lost all his admiration for Yuan Baishong before, and he was directly called a big liar. Oh! David nodded. No wonder Zhao Waoqi was so polite to this person, it turned out to be the secretary of the big leader in 6 doors. You must know that in Kyoto, those who can enter the 6 doors are all people with prominent identities and outstanding achievements, and all of them are of high authority. At this time, Zhao Wuji came back, and Bai Ziashan asked curiously, Zhao Pavilion Master, the big leader in the 6 doors, what do you want the big liar to do? Bai Ziashan's words made Zhao Wuji stunned for a moment, but he didn't react for a while. What did the big liar say? After reacting for a while, he smiled faintly. Old Bai, don't say it, you are a big liar, what you said is really appropriate. This is the #1 master of magic in Hong Kong, the reputation in Kyoto is stinky. That's it, you dare to call yourself the #1 master of magic, in front of Mr. Chen, you are a clown jumping on the beam, Bai Ziashan said with a disdainful smile. Although Bai Ziashan meant to flatter David, it was the truth. No matter how good Yuan Baishong's disguise was, he was still seen by David at a glance. Zhao Waoqi didn't see the scene of David dismantling Yuan Baishong and the others, so he didn't say anything, and said with a slight smile, "Even so, Yuan Baishong is not a vain fame, he still has some skills. This time, 6 doors the big leader is looking for him just to see his son's disease. Isn't it a rumor that the son of the leader has already become a vegetative person? Now he relies on the equipment to maintain his heartbeat. As long as the equipment is withdrawn, the person will be gone immediately, and the brain will not be conscious." Bai Ziashan said with some doubts. "Then who knows, a dead horse is a living horse, doctor." Zhao Waoqi didn't dare to guess what the leader meant. "Mr. Chen, your medical skills are brilliant. Why don't you go and have a look? If you can really heal the son of this great leader, there will be more ways for Mr. Chen to do anything in Kyoto in the future." At this moment, Gu Wenchen suddenly opened his mouth and said, "To be able to follow such a big leader to climb a relationship, David will indeed be a lot more convenient in Kyoto in the future. If the big leader speaks, I am afraid that the Qin family will not dare to trouble David." "Mr. Chen, so you still have medical skills?" Even if Zhao Waoqi knew that David was a cultivator, not all cultivators had medical skills. "I understand a little bit." David nodded. Zhao Waoqi and Bai Ziashan looked at David with deep surprise and shock in their eyes. David just understood the technique, and directly dismantled that Yuan Baishong. Now he understands the medical technique, and seeing David's strength, it is far beyond their imagination. "If that's the case, then I'll take Mr. Chen there. If the son of the great leader can be cured, it will be a chance for Mr. Chen." Zhao Waoqi said excitedly. David did not refuse. David knew that his future cultivation journey would not be smooth sailing, so it would not hurt him to make more friends now, not to mention being a great leader within the 6 doors. Zhao Waoqi took David straight to the big leader's house. Because of the need for security, the others did not go with David. Even if they did, they would not be able to get in at all. Soon, Zhao Waoqi took David to a courtyard. Although the decoration of the courtyard was not very luxurious, the location was extremely advantageous. There were several tall buildings around the courtyard, and people were constantly patrolling them. David glanced at it, and immediately found the special feature of this courtyard, because the courtyard was in the process of drying up, and the surrounding qi of heaven and earth all converged towards the courtyard, which can nourish people's body. Obviously, the construction of this courtyard was instructed by Feng Shui masters, as if a spirit gathering array was built in the courtyard, but there is no real high-level spirit gathering array. "Who are you?" Just as David followed Zhao Waoqi to the courtyard gate, a guard asked nervously. "Hello, I'm Zhao Wuji, the pavilion master of the Dharma Protector Pavilion. I'm here to meet the leader." Zhao Wuji hurried forward and said to the guard in front of the door. The guard looked at Zhao Wuji carefully, and then his expression recovered. "It turned out to be Pavilion Master Zhao, I will report it." After the guard finished speaking, he went directly into the courtyard to report, while David and Zhao Waoqi were waiting outside. At this time, in the hall of the courtyard, Zhou Zhaolong and Yuan Baishong were facing a middle-aged man in his 50s, with a burly body and a Chinese character face. The middle-aged man has a dignified appearance, even Zhou Zhaolong, a wealthy businessman in Hong Kong and China, and Yuan Baishong, the first master of magic in China and Hong Kong, are all respectful when they see this middle-aged man. This middle-aged man is the leader of the 6-door reinforcement army. He has participated in real wars and has made great achievements. "Boss Zhou, Master Yuan, this time I have sent someone to invite you here, please forgive me." Chang Reinforcement Army said to the two people politely. "The leader is too polite. It's our honor to be able to share the leader's worries." Zhou Zhaolong looked flattered. That Yuan Baishong also hurriedly said, "Leaders can use us, that is to look down on us, we will do our best to solve problems for the leaders." Seeing Yuan Baishong say this, Chang Yuanjun had a slight smile on his face and said, Since Master Yuan said this, then I'm not welcome. You must have heard that I have a son. I have been in bed for more than a year, and I hope Master Yuan can help me to see if it can be cured. Leader, I wonder if you can take me to see young Master Ling's situation. Yuan Baishong asked. Of course, you can come with me. Chang Rijun nodded, got up and prepared to take Yuan Baishong and Zhou Zhaolong to the bedroom. But at this moment, a guard walked in a hurry, walked to the ear of Chang reigning army, and whispered a few words. After hearing this, the Chang reinforcements said to the guard, let them come in. After speaking, Chang Yuan-jun looked at Yuan Baishong apologetically, Master Yuan, suddenly a guest comes to visit, you should rest for a while, and I will take you there later. Okay, leaders please. Yuan Baishong nodded again and again. Soon, Zhao Waoqi and David were brought into the hall. Zhao Waoqi took the liberty of disturbing the leader, and hoped that the leader would not blame him. After Zhao Waoqi saw the Chang reinforcements, he hurriedly apologized. Wuji, is there something important to ask me? Hurry up, I have something else to do. Seeing that Zhao Waoqi came to his house to look for him, Chang Yuan-jun thought there was something important. As for David besides Zhao Waoqi, Chang Yuan-jun didn't even look at him, and regarded David as Zhao Waoqi's subordinate. At this time, when Zhou Zhaolong and Yuan Baishong saw that David followed Zhao Waoqi, they could not help but frown. Leader, I heard that young Master Ling has been in bed for more than a year and is in a coma, so I specially brought Mr. Chen over to see young Master Ling. After Zhao Waoqi finished speaking, he looked at David and said, Mr. Chen, this is Leader Chang. Hello, Leader Chang. David nodded slightly and stretched out his hand towards Chang reinforcement. The Chang reinforcement army did not move, but looked at David up and down, frowning slightly, a hairy boy in his 20s? What kind of disease can I see? You must know that Chang Yuan-jun has invited almost all famous experts and professors at home and abroad to see a doctor for his son, but unfortunately they are powerless. This made him make up his mind to invite Yuan Baishong. After all, they are such big leaders. What magic master, the influence is not very good. However, for the sake of his son, Chang Yuan-jun could only go out of his way. If he could have a way, he wouldn't send someone to invite Yuan Baishong. Seeing that the Chang reinforcements did not move, David smiled awkwardly and took his hand back. Seeing this, Zhao Waoqi hurriedly said, Leader, Mr. Chen is very skilled in medicine, and he is also proficient in magic, that's why I invited Mr. Chen here. Zhao Waoqi knew that Chang Yuan-jun didn't believe David because he was too young, so he explained. However, in front of Zhou Zhaolong and Yuan Baishong, Zhao Waoqi could not reveal the identity of cultivator David. After all, these are all secrets and cannot be easily revealed. Gate Master Zhao, didn't you accept this kid's money? At his age, how skilled can he be in medicine? How proficient can he be in magic? Even if he learned to cultivate from his mother's womb, it has only been more than 20 years, and the old man I have studied magic techniques since I was a child, and I have also studied medicine a lot. It has been decades, and I dare not introduce myself like this, but you have praised this kid. Yuan Baishong said with a sneer. David knows how to do magic, Yuan Baishong has learned it at the auction, but he was careless at the time and didn't take David seriously, so he let David take advantage of the loophole and set up a sound transmission array on Zhou Zhaolong to expose their affairs. He doesn't think David can have a high level of magic, a small sound transmission array can learn it by practicing for a few years. Zhao Pavilion Master, the leader of the young master is not able to treat anything indiscriminately. If something goes wrong, who can bear it? Can you bear it? Zhou Zhaolong looked at Zhao Wuji with disdain and asked. At this time, he had long hated that David, and that Zhao Wuji, he did not like it very much, but the other party was the pavilion master of the Dharma Protector Pavilion, and Zhou Zhaolong did not dare to disrespect. And now they are the guests of the Chang reinforcement army, so there is no need to give Zhao Wuji a good face. Even if he scolded Zhao Wuji now, I believe that Zhao Wuji would not dare to do anything to them. Zhao Waoqi snorted coldly, since I invited Mr. Chen, I am naturally willing to bear all the consequences. Leader, since Pavilion Master Zhao is so sworn in, I think there is no need for this old man to take action. Please ask that David to take care of young Master Ling. The old man will leave first. Yuan Baishong said, got up and planned to leave. He is playing hard to catch, he did it on purpose. Look at the reaction of the Chong reinforcement army. Master Yuan, I sent someone to invite you here. Naturally, I asked Master Yuan to take care of my son. Please stay behind. Chong Yuanjun stopped Yuan Baishong, then turned his head to look at Zhao Wuji and said, Wuji, I accept your thoughts. Yes, but there is Master Yuan here, I believe he can cure my son's illness, you should take the young man and leave first, if there are other things, we will talk about it later. The Chong reinforcements ordered Zhao Waoqi and David to evict their guests, and this was exactly what Yuan Baishong wanted to see. At this time, Yuan Baishong looked at Zhao Waoqi and David proudly, and Zhou Zhaolong was also full of sneer. Zhao Waoqi looked embarrassed and pleaded slightly, Leader, Mr. Chen's strength is really strong, you just... Seeing that Zhao Wuji didn't want to leave, Chong Yuanjun's face turned slightly cold, seeing off the guest. A word of seeing off a guest, someone came in immediately, and said to Zhao Wuji, Pavilion Master Zhao, please put. Seeing that Chong Rijun was angry, Zhao Waoqi didn't dare to say anything, so he could only sigh, then turned to look at David and said, Mr. Chen, let's leave first. However, Zhao Waoqi called out to David, and David didn't seem to hear it, his eyes were fixed on the direction of the bedroom, his brows were slightly wrinkled, and he didn't move. Mr. Chen. Seeing David like that, Zhao Waoqi pushed him suspiciously. David was shocked and nodded towards Zhao Waoqi, well, let's go. However, when David followed Zhao Waoqi out, he didn't look back and said loudly, we'll be waiting outside. If you run into trouble, you can come out and find me. David's words were addressed to Chong reinforcements. Wait a moment. Just when David and Zhao Waoqi were about to go out, Chong Rianjun stopped them. Leadership. Zhao Waoqi turned his head to look at Chong Yuanjun. You can stay. Chong reinforcement asked David to stay with Zhao Waoqi, so he didn't have to go out. Because of David's attitude, Chong Rijun decided to let them stay. Although David is young, he has a big heart. Just now, Zhou Zhaolong and Yuan Baishong mocked him like that. David didn't say a word. Even if the Chong reinforcements drove them out, David didn't get angry. Instead, he left a message to cause trouble. You can find him, which makes Chong Rijun a little impressed with David. Leader Chong, who are you? Yuan Baishong frowned slightly when he saw that the Chong reinforcements actually kept David behind. Master Yuan, my son's illness still depends on Master Yuan. As for this young man, let Master Yuan give them a chance to observe, so that they can also know what a real master is. Chong reinforcements said to Yuan Baishong. If it wasn't for expecting Yuan Baishong to see a doctor for his son, Chong Yuanjun would not have explained anything to him. After all, he didn't need to explain anything to Yuan Baishong. Whoever he wanted to stay, let whoever stay. Seeing this, Yuan Baishong couldn't say anything. He couldn't help giving Chong Rijun face. Since the leader said this, let David take a look and see what can be called medical skills. Yuan Baishong looked at David and said with a sneer. Master Yuan, please put. The Chong reinforcements invited Yuan Baishong into the bedroom. David and the others followed. As soon as they entered the bedroom, they could smell the strong smell of medicine. The whole room was filled with medicine, and a ventilator was running. On the bed, a young man who seemed to be in his 20s was lying on it. His face was ashen, his eyes were closed, his cheeks were sunken, and he was as thin as a piece of bone. A pipe was inserted in his mouth, and the pipe was connected the ventilator, relying on the ventilator to maintain life. This person is Chong Yuan-jun's son, Chong Yuan, who just entered the second year of sophomore year. Because of this sudden situation, he immediately dropped out of school. There was no wound on Chong Yuan's body, only the 5 fingers of his right hand were wrapped with thick gauze, and the gauze had already turned red, obviously caused by blood soaking. Chong Yuan-jun saw that the gauze had turned red, and his face suddenly became extremely ugly, and then shouted loudly, "Xiaozhu, Xiaozhu!" Following the roar of the Chong reinforcements, in a small room on the other side of the bedroom, a girl hurried out. The girl's eyes were a little dark, and she was yawning. It was obvious that she hadn't slept well for a long time. Lead. The girl looked at Chong Yuan-jun in horror, her whole body trembling slightly. How did you do it? Didn't you see that the gauze on the son's hand was soaked with blood? Why didn't you change the gauze? Chong reinforcements asked loudly. Leader, I'm sorry, I'm so sleepy, I just closed my eyes, I didn't expect the gauze on the son's hand to be soaked with blood so quickly. After the girl finished speaking, she hurriedly went to get the gauze. After soaking it in the disinfectant, she immediately began to change the gauze on Chong Yuan's hand. When the girl opened the gauze on Chong Yuan's finger, a rancid smell came in, and the smell was particularly unpleasant. All the people present frowned, and Zhou Zhaolong couldn't help but retched. Later, in the eyes of Chong Yuan-jun, Zhou Zhaolong tried his best to hold back, but looking at Chong Yuan-jun's appearance, he didn't seem to have any reaction, so he should have gotten used to it. Just when the girl removed the gauze and was about to put it back on for Chong Yuan, Yuan Baishong suddenly said, "Wait a minute." The girl was stunned and looked at Chong reinforcement. Chong Rijun nodded. Master Yuan asked you to wait a moment, just wait. The girl stepped aside, while Yuan Baishong stepped forward and grabbed Chong Yuan's right hand. I saw that the 5 fingers of Chong Yuan's right hand had become jet black, blood was constantly flowing from the fingers, and there was a rancid smell. Leader, how did your son get hurt? Yuan Baishong asked. I heard from a classmate who was with him that my son was bitten on his finger by something, and as a result he passed out, and then his head fell heavily to the ground, and it has been like this since then, but I found a lot of experts. Professor, I have also done various tests, my son is not poisoned, and the brain examination is normal, but he can't wake up, and he has to rely on a ventilator to maintain. Chong reinforcements said. Bite. Yuan Baishong looked at Chong Yuan's blackened fingers, frowning slightly, then the wound on young Master Ling's hand can't be healed. Yes, it has been bleeding like this all the time. You have to change the gauze soaked in disinfectant frequently. Otherwise, it will rot and stink for a long time, and even maggots will be born. When Chong Yuan-jun spoke again, he unconsciously looked at his son, his eyes were full of distress. That's right. If my guess is correct, young Master Ling was bitten by a poisonous insect in Miao village, which means that young Master Ling was unconscious because of poisoning, not other reasons. Yuan Baishong said. Miao village poisonous insects. Chong Yuan-jun frowned, then why did all kinds of tests fail to find any signs of poisoning? Yuan Baishong smiled lightly, Leader, if the test can find out the cause of the poisoning, you don't need to ask me to do it, right? In this world, there are many things that cannot be detected by instruments. Chong Yuan-jun could only smile awkwardly when he heard it. Yuan Baishong said it was true. If those experts and professors were optimistic, he wouldn't have to invite Yuan Baishong to come. Then Master Yuan, since you know the reason, can you heal my son? Chong reinforcements asked impatiently. I can only say try it. This Miao village is very powerful in controlling poison, and I have never seen it before, but this capital is thousands of miles away from Miao village. How can there be poisonous insects in Miao village here? Yuan Baishong was very puzzled that the poisonous insects in Miao village could not have flown to Kyoto by themselves. Master Yuan, no matter how the poisonous insects got here, please ask Master Yuan to quickly heal my son. Now the Chang reinforcement only wants Yuan Baishong to cure his son. As for how the poisonous insects got here, he doesn't care anymore. After all, it's been more than a year. Okay, let me try. Yuan Baishong nodded, and then took out a small cloth bag from his body. Inside was a row of silver needles of different sizes. The thinnest silver needle was probably only the thickness of a cow's hair. Seeing that Yuan Baishong was going to heal his son, Chang Rijun clasped his nervous hands together tightly. Mr. Chen, is Yuan Baishong right? Zhao Waoqi looked at David and asked. He didn't quite believe that there were poisonous insects from Miao village in this Kyoto. Besides, if those people from Miao village wanted to come to Kyoto, they would definitely report to their Dharma Protector Pavilion in advance, otherwise they would let these Miao village people play poison. Running everywhere, wouldn't the whole country be in chaos? He's right, and he's not right either. David smiled lightly. What do you mean? Zhao Wuji looked puzzled. He's only half right. Although the person's finger on the bed was indeed bitten by a poisonous insect, it was difficult to heal, and it was still putrid and festering, but he was in a coma for more than a year, not because the poisonous insect took a bite. David explained. Why is that? Zhao Wuji asked curiously. But before David could answer, Yuan Baishong turned his head to look at David. What? You mean I got it wrong? If you have the skills, try it out, don't point fingers and pretend to be something. Pack. Yuan Baishong put away the silver needle and looked at David coldly. What do you know? Even Master Yuan dares to question. If you think you're amazing, don't make rude words later, but take a look at it. Zhou Xiaolong said with disdain. Zhou Xiaolong, Mr. Chen must have his reasons for saying this. You and Yuan Baishong are both big liars. How dare you be called a master? Zhao Waoqi scolded Zhou Xiaolong angrily. Zhao Wuji's words made Zhou Xiaolong's face turn cold, while Yuan Baishong's brows were furrowed. Zhao Wuji's big liar had completely hit him. He originally thought that this time the deception would be foolproof, so he cooperated with Zhou Xiaolong, but now David exposed it on the spot. His reputation is afraid that his reputation will plummet. Thinking of this, Yuan Baishong looked at David with hostility in his eyes, wishing he could swallow David alive. Since Pavilion Master Zhao said that we are big liars, then it is not good for me to heal the son of Chang's leader. You have the ability, you come. Yuan Baishong turned around and walked to the side. He had already seen Chang Yuan's cause, so he was sure to wake him up. The reason why Yuan Baishong said the situation was so serious just now was to make the regular reinforcements nervous, so that the regular reinforcements would treat them. Pay attention to. Now David does not agree with his diagnosis and treatment. Yuan Baishong just took this opportunity to let David try it. He concluded that David was not capable of forcing out the poison of the Miao village poisonous insects. As long as David failed, Yuan Baishong could take the opportunity to attack. Let the constant reinforcements deal with David. Seeing that Yuan Baishong had stopped his treatment at this time, the permanent reinforcements suddenly said anxiously, Master Yuan, don't listen to what others say, I believe in you, and ask Master Yuan to heal my son. Chang's attitude is very humble. For the sake of his son, Chang's can lower his stance. Leader Chang, it's not that I don't treat me. Now some people question my diagnosis and treatment, and Pavilion Master Zhao says we are big liars. How can I do it? If something goes wrong, I can't tell. Since this David is also if you can see the cause of young Master Ling, then let him heal. Yuan Baishong said unhurriedly to Chang Yuan Jun. Now Yuan Baishong has already decided to use the constant reinforcements, because the poison of the poisonous insects in Miao village is not so easy to deal with. Even if he invites other warlocks, he may not be able to cure Chang Yuan. Master Yuan, then David. Leader, Mr. Chen is indeed a prodigy. I believe he can cure young Master Ling, without these two big liars. Before Chang reinforcements could finish speaking, Zhao Waoqi hurriedly said to Chang reinforcements. Shut up for me. Chang Yuanjun turned his head and glared at Zhao Waoqi. Now you go out for me, go out. Chang Yuanjun originally planned to give David a chance. After all, it was a rare opportunity to see a magician like Yuan Baishong treat patients with his own eyes. Chang Yuanjun hoped that David could put away his spirit and learn more. Unexpectedly, David was not humble, and pointed at Yuan Baishong behind his back, and said that Yuan Baishong was only half right, which would make everyone angry. Lead. Zhao Waoqi looked anxious when he saw that the regular reinforcements were angry again. Okay, no need to say any more, you go out, don't disturb Master Yuan's healing. Chang Rijun waved his hand and said indifferently. Regardless of whether David really understands medical skills or not, in Chang Yuanjun's opinion, David, who is only in his early 20s, can never compare to Yuan Baishong. No matter in terms of strength or experience, David does not have the same strength as Yuan Baishong. How to say Yuan Baishong became the first master of magic in China and Hong Kong, this is not just a joke, he must have real skills. Seeing this scene, Zhou Zhaolong immediately showed a smug smile. With the constant reinforcements, he didn't have to be afraid of Zhao Waoqi. Zhao Pavilion Master, you said that you are not too young, how can you be deceived by a small child? You must know that this is for the leader's son. If there is a mistake, can you bear it? I don't think you did it on purpose. Looking for this David, and then deliberately treating the leader's son wrong, so that the leader's son has an accident? What the H3LL are you thinking about? Zhou Zhaolong asked Zhao Wuji with a sneer. Zhou Zhaolong, what nonsense are you talking about? How could I deliberately let the leader's son have an accident? Don't spit, Mr. Chen does have that ability. Seeing that Zhou Zhaolong suddenly doubted himself, Zhao Wuji roared in a panic. It's not up to you to decide whether you have that ability or not, and we haven't seen it. If you think that David is really capable, let him also talk about what happened to the leader's son. He didn't mean Master Yuan. Are you only half right? Zhou Zhaolong was using aggressive tactics on purpose. He didn't believe that David was more capable than Yuan Baishong. Yuan Baishong couldn't see the reason, but David could see it. Mr. Chen. Zhao Waoqi looked at David, hoping that David could take action, so as to convince a few people, mainly to convince the regular reinforcements. At this time, Chang Yuanjun also looked at David, he also wanted to hear what David said, and Yuan Baishong, he also wanted to see how strong David was through this incident. Seeing that everyone was looking at him, David slowly sat on the chair beside him, and then said, "It is true that the leader's son was bitten by a poisonous insect. I can't even hold a hand. Another point is that the leader's son is currently bedridden, and it has nothing to do with all the poisoning of poisonous insects. He is just mentally damaged, and he has become like this." David explained. Mind damage? Chang Yuanjun was taken aback. Mr. Chen, what's the matter with the damaged mind? Zhao Waoqi asked curiously. The mental damage is said to be frightened, which leads to the loss of the soul, so it is always unconscious. David explained. Soul not possessed? This time, Zhao Wuji and Chang reigning army were all stunned, and Zhou Zhaolong was also stunned. They are not sorcerers nor cultivators, so they don't understand and can't think of such things as not being possessed. Ha ha ha, David, I think you are talking nonsense. Do you know that Master Yuan is known as the first master of magic in China and Hong Kong? If the leader's son is really soulless and frightened, will he not be able to see it? Don't be there. This is pretending, thinking that I have deceived everyone. After a while, Zhou Zhaolong reacted, laughing and mocking. Chang Yuanjun also didn't trust David. After all, what David said was a little too casual. He directly said that his son was scared like this, which made Chang Yuanjun very dissatisfied. He can't see it, he can only say that he is a waste, the first master of magic in Hong Kong, and he doesn't know shame. David raised the corner of his mouth and said with disdain. David, don't talk too much here. Since you know the cause of the leader's son, then come and heal him. If you are healed, I, Yuan Baishong, will kowtow to you to apologize. If you can't, I will kick you out. And then looking for someone to push you into the river. Yuan Baishong said with a gloomy expression. No, no, Chong Yuan-jun hurriedly stood up to stop him, my son is not a guinea pig, don't bet on him. After Chong Yuan-jun finished speaking, he looked at Zhao Wao-qi, Zhao Wao-qi, take this David and leave immediately, this is an order.